Welcome to Make a Path Presents. My name is Ronnie Hayes. Today, let's talk The Walking Dead Q&A 48 or 9? 49. Cortez will, by the way, I'm going to spill a minor comic book spoiler here. It doesn't matter. I don't want to hear about it in the comments. They're not doing this on the show. But Cortez, will Tara die like comic Abraham? Well, actually, they might do that on the show. Yeah, I do believe that there is potential there for her to die like that. Not in the face, though. I think it would be more dramatic in the chest. I know everyone likes the suddenness of it. I don't think it would play out as well on TV. On this one, I could be totally wrong. It could play out very well. But anyway, so yeah, I think there's a lot of potential there. Cody Fields, which is more interesting, the All Life is Precious Morgan or the Kill or Be Killed Morgan? For me, both. I say that because it would be more interesting watching a man who has to kill, but it's painful to him. If he's forced in situations where killing is the only option, and that just bothers him so much, I think that is one of the most interesting stories they could pull out of Morgan and his beliefs. I'm only talking about his beliefs. I'm not talking about side stories. So yeah, so I'm going to go for both. I love that there. I love the duality and those decisions that they make. Alright, Lane Mack. What episode will Daryl get captured in? And do I like Michael C. Hall as Negan? Also, Mike Lee Wright asked the same thing about Michael C. Hall, the guy who played Dexter. First off, Daryl will probably get captured in episode 5, 6. Yeah, I think 6 is good. And Michael C. Hall, I love the guy. I think he's great. He was fantastic as Dexter, but he has the wrong charisma for Negan. Totally the wrong charisma. And there's another person that a lot of people are talking about. He was in The Road, and he's in a lot of other different movies. I think his name's like Garrett something. No, totally, I am not happy with that casting. Again, totally support that actor in almost everything he does. He is a good actor. Does not have the right charisma for Negan. If I had to place a bet, if he was actually cast for something, I would say Dwight. He fits Dwight or one of the saviors. Let's say David. He would be a savior. Yeah, not Negan. He would be a savior. And actually, I support that 100%. I think he should be one of the saviors that's more known and not just Dwight. He would be a good Dwight too, though. Don't get me wrong. Constantly dying. The Scott on TV hurt his leg, and so did the Scott in the comic. Do I think the outcome will be the same? I mean, that's difficult. Yeah, they could do the outcome the same way. It's set up perfectly like that. We get the comic book story, and it's remixed in a nice, refresh package, you know? However, we have to sit back and ask, why are they doing that? Is this one of those times where they have the opportunity to bring a comic story to life? Or does that play some kind of importance later on in the story? Because it was important in the story for the comic book because it kicked off something crazy that happened. Comic book readers know. So is that similar? You know, it could. Something crazy could kick off in when they got to put him down. So you never know. Hemi30. I think I pronounced that wrong. I had to write these down because Century Stink. CenturyLink still has my internet off. Yeah. Wow, it's bad. Days now. So anyway, all right, the red balloons you want to know, is Abraham in danger? Yes, the red balloon, no, he's not in danger. I mean, yes, they did use the red balloons for symbolism before with Rick. However, right now I think they're using them more in the story as actual things. We know they were using, markers. Let's be more specific. They were using them for markers. So is there some kind of symbolism tied to the balloons still? Possibly. But in the show, they're actually using them for markers, so I wouldn't read too much or too heavy into the symbolism just yet. Jill Byrne. Did they fake Glenn's death to make up for the fact that he won't have an exciting death with Negan? No, I do not believe that's the case at all. I think that just happened to be they had this idea and it worked best for Glenn because he was in a situation where they can utilize this idea better. I think it was just the character and the circumstances. I don't think it had anything to do with Glenn and Negan or anything like that, or making up for not having an exciting death. Galvin Johnson. Will I ever go in depth on the showrunners and picking my favorites? Yes. Let me just take a moment and tell you guys, when I do these special videos, like the showrunner videos, some of those are going to take months because I can't just sit in a room and say, okay, I get to work on the showrunner video for a few days or a couple weeks and then put out this really awesome, I got to go back, watch interviews. I got to go back and watch some of the show, to get their feel. I got to go back and look up information on them, look at their past. So I got to do all this research. I got to put all this stuff together. I don't want to just push record and say, well, I loved the flow and style of season 1 and 2. Season 3 kind of lost me because the dialogue wasn't as dynamic and powerful. In season 4, it starts to pick this pace. I don't want to do that because that's just picking apart little things that I remember. That's not really diving deep. That's surface level. I want to go deep. So unfortunately, going deep takes some time. Padraig Casey, I don't know if I said that right. My favorite TV death, off the top of my head, I would have to go with Noah. Yeah, he had an awesome death. If I could go with zombie gore death, I'd pick Noah. However, my favorite TV death would have to be Herschel. Now, I am omitting Sophia because her death wasn't on TV. We saw the aftermath in the barn, and that was probably one of the most powerful scenes in the series to date. I love that scene. I've always loved that scene, but Morgan actually died on screen, so that was my favorite death so far. But for a gory death, I'm picking Noah. That was pretty vicious. Blake Manning, how many years into the apocalypse? Listen, I'm not one of these guys who has to know to the day. I'm fine with just a couple years. I'm fine with that. If you want to say, yeah, a couple years, two-ish, I'm good with that. So if you want more than that, if you want to break it down, I'm not the guy who's interested in that. I'm interested in two-ish. It's been several years. It's been 10 years. I don't think it matters if it's been 2 years or 3 years. You know what I mean? But it does matter if it's been 2 years or 20 years. You see what I mean? So that's why I said, you get me. Apocalypsio. How did the wolves become such a big group? Me personally, I feel like they attack people they can steal from, and it's kind of like criminals, They can smell out their criminals. They can smell out their own. So the wolves strike me as a group that would come across Daryl in the middle of the street back when the Claimers did, and they wouldn't attack him. I don't believe they would attack him right away. They would probably, maybe if they wanted his crossbow, but if they sensed he could be like one of them, I think they would, bring him into the group. But yeah, I think they do that. They attack people that they feel wouldn't fit in with them, and the people that do fit in with them, they probably bring them right in. Hound Garden. Can Rick cut his hand and paralyze it, and therefore he can be, one-handed without it being expensive, having to cut it off? No. I'm going to go out on a limb here and risk sounding like an idiot, but I don't think an infection in the hand, not the zombie infection, but like an infection, I don't believe an infection could paralyze a hand. You would probably have to cut it off, as far as my understanding of infections. So I don't think that's possible at all, and I don't want them to suspend any disbelief or reality just to do that. I'd rather them keep two hands. Lamont Big Bore 54 Albin. You love the Riot gear on Glenn, and how long is it going to be until a lot of people use similar gear? It'll probably be a while, They probably don't do it because of the heat. Lugging that all around, if you get bogged down, you're going to get overrun with walkers, and they'll start biting you in between the creases in your neck. So it's probably easy to just stay loose, light, and you're out of there. Rick Grimes Crow. Could they kill off Carl since Rick has Judith? Yes, they could. There's problems. There's pros and cons either way, but yes, they could. Will they? Probably not. Jacob McCarthy. Will Daryl face Negan in a classic comic book death scene? And I'm awesome. Thank you very much. But no, I think Morgan's a better fit. Daniel Brand. You think they're rushing, and you're asking me when will we see Negan? If they're rushing it, yeah, we most likely will see Negan, in the finale or before the finale. And this is all also depending on whether we simply see Negan or we see Negan meet, our survivors. If we see Negan in season 6, I strongly believe at this moment he's not going to meet our survivors yet. I think it's backstory. So I want to make that very, very clear. I'm talking about you know, what they can and can't do, not what I personally believe. Because right now, I still do not believe that Negan should interact with the survivors yet. Iron Ramirez, you said the blade is covered in blood. Rick got his blood in the Walker blood and they're mixing, and you say he should be dead. Or get his arm cut off. Listen, you know, I made that video and I wasn't clear, and I talked about the Walker gook and blood and everything like that. We've seen Shane cut his own hand with the knife that he's killing walkers. We've seen Sasha cut Abraham, and then with the knife she was killing walkers. We've seen Rick cut his hand with the knife that went through a walker. It's not the same thing. All those cases are the same, but it's not the same as a walker biting. Even in the comic book, before you go, no, Negan did it in the comic book. In the comic, it's different. Negan gets all the you know, rot and muck, and I just call it rot, but he gets all the zombie rot off the face and the mouth and the saliva. Put it this way, there's something there, some kind of germ in or by the mouth that gives the people a fever and an infection that kills them. It doesn't make them infected. They're already infected. It gives them an infection that's too strong and it kills them. So unless those knives were in and around and all up in the mouth and have crud and everything on it, no. Abraham's fine when Sasha cut him. Rick is fine, and Shane was fine back then. They were all fine. It's totally different cut in the head than it is in the mouth. Something in the mouth. Okay? Did I said that good enough or no? Tony Thompson, is Deanna the new Herschel? I don't believe so. I think she's going to want to be a fighter and die trying to be a fighter. We'll get more in depth as the episodes go on. If you want to participate in this Q&A, make sure the very first thing you write down in your comment is Q&A. When I scroll through these, and I'm just trying to give you guys hints to get into the Q&A. When I scroll down the list and I got a million things going on, that's why I say do the Q&A first, because I scroll right down, I see Q&A, I'm pulling your questions. Q&A, first thing in your comment, and put your questions for anything that has to do with the Walking Dead TV show in this video only. And I'll see you for the next Q&A.
Subscribe now.